the leg where we are taking note of strengthening school-based SRHR education. Now, SRHR, that is Sexual Reproductive Health Rights Education. I'll be introducing my two guests who are very youthful and, of course, doing a tremendous work in this particular sector. But let me just give you a preamble of what we have this morning. An effective school health program is one of the strategic means used to address some of the important health sector issues among young people and engaging across education efforts to change the socio-economic conditions that put many adolescents at risk when it comes to sexual and reproductive health. That is a very wide discussion. Today we are going to narrow it down on school-based SRHR education. And of course, like I said earlier, joining me is Joshua Twinomujuni. He is the team leader at the Jonas Foundation Africa. We are also joined by Treslin Ankunda, who is a youth leader at Jomas. Many thanks for joining us, lady and gentlemen. I'll be true to tradition and ask the lady first to take us through a school-based SRHR education and what are the issues that we need to pay attention to right now before I can go to Mr. Joshua Twinomujuni.
Okay, thank you very much, Chris. First of all, I think it is more important to, first of all, let people understand what SRHR is, because majority of the people I've interacted with do not know what SRHR is. Yeah. And yet it is really a fundamental right, and it is a human right, and it is something that if we violate as people, then it is going to be of disadvantage to the healthcare systems. It is going to be of a disadvantage to how we grow up and our health concerns in society. So SRHR mainly zeroes or tackles on issues to do with sexual, in issues to do with reproductive health, in issues to do with formulation of policies and legal laws in terms of health care systems and reproduction. So we are products of reproduction, or we are products of the same that has been stated. And you realize that in the 1994, during the conference that was held in Cairo on issues to do with human rights, there's a concern that sexual reproductive health is a fundamental right. There is need to adjust and focus and also put out an image outside in society in concern with their human rights. So if you however go further to look at SDG number 3 on concerns of health and well-being, it focuses also on the advantage of having access to reproductive health systems in Uganda and outside. And then so when you get back to the Millennium Goals of 2002, they also highlight about the same concern of issues to do with sexual and reproductive health and people's rights. So stretching from that background, we are not here to joke about sexual reproductive health, because these are health concerns, and the moment we do not take health concerns so seriously, then we really have limited time, or we are belittling our energy. So stretching back to the schools,
just before you go into stretching back to the schools, because that will form the crust of the discussion, allow me ask Joshua Twinomujuni to explain to us how the Jonas Foundation Africa finds its place in this campaign or endeavor.
Okay, thank you so much, Chris. Once again, I'm Joshua Twinomujuni Kwesiga. I hail from Kamwenge district. Oh, wow. Found in southwestern Uganda, and I happen to be the team leader of Jonas Foundation Africa, commonly known as Joint Mechanism for Access to Sexual Reproductive Health and Rights.
Can you be joint mechanism for
access to sexual reproductive
rights? Yeah.
Yeah, we started this way back 2019 as young people in the university, Makerere University, and with an aim of empowering young people, because we had this energy and passion going to communities, schools, to talk to these young kids, young people, so they can stay on the right track, stay on the right course of knowing their SRHR. Because I've come to understand that most people have asked me questions related to sexual reproductive health and rights. They don't know what sexual reproductive health and rights is. Yet it is a fundamental right according to my colleague, how she has stated. And sexual reproductive health and rights is to do with your decision of your own body and having a productive life of your body and your life. So,
okay, please just finish that. So
I was saying to all our viewers and young people that are on TV or social media platforms, YouTube, NTV, we kindly request that we take SRHR seriously, because now it is on trend in the whole country, the whole world, not even Uganda only, but internationally. Thank you.
Okay, let me return to Tracelyn Ankunda and of course ask the question that you were tackling before I halted you in your tracks. Strengthening school-based SRHR education. There are concerns about a disconnect between what the schools offer and what parents ought to offer. The schools are asking parents to be more proactive, while the parents are expecting the schools to be comprehensive in what they roll out.
Yes.
How are we tackling this? Is the campaign that you're running inclusive enough to cover what the schools offer and what the parents should be able to avail in terms of educating the learners or children?
Jomas Foundation Africa, we zero down to schools. First of all, I want to highlight the fact that sexual reproductive health should not be seen as a concern that deals only with the health sector. It is a public outcry. It is something that we should all focus on. If, for example, like he stated, we started from school, and we're not saying this only starts at primary. These are issues that even people who are working should be well conversant about. For example, personally, I'm a law student, but it does not stop me from digging more into to know what my rights in the sexual reproductive health sector should be or are. And similarly, if you're in the engineering sector or any other sector. So what Jomas Foundation does, we have the PES, the Primary Education on Sexuality in schools. So we do a one-on-one, we do school outreaches. We talk to students. These are things that teachers are doing. But usually, once you get down to schools, you listen to stories, which maybe the teachers do not have time to listen to. You listen to those stories from students, and some of the stories are really heartbreaking. It is because of lack of information that people are going through certain things. Maybe there is a change in their lives, but they feel it is the worst they are going through. They do not understand why is this happening this way, or they do not understand it is nature, or maybe the environments they grow from. Because and then also when you talk on the issue of gender, maybe the girls or the boys, they grow in different forms, so they have and experience different changes. So what Jomas does is to go to those schools, take messages, take relevant literature on concerns that that talk more on the concept of sexual reproductive health systems. And then through also storytellings, through debates in schools, we are able to bring out message and a clear information on what sexual reproductive health systems can do. Because yes, there could be maybe problems in terms of the different environmental settings of the schools. For example, maybe a school in Western Uganda, in Bushenyi, could not have the same maybe as a school in Gulu or in Alua or maybe Muni University. So there is need for us to really focus on the issues of health for us to have a better living of the students, both at the university, both at primary, and it is a call for all of us, parents, teachers, we students ourselves, to make that first step towards a transformed change that has and really appreciates the law and health. Okay,
Mr. Twinomu Juni, just explain to our audience. There is always confusion about sexual education and sexuality education, and I'm hoping that the clustering of this campaign helps to explain these differences and perhaps make parents comfortable in terms of talking to their young ones. How do you do that?
So the difference between sex education and sexuality education, they seem to be similar, but sex education is more of educating young people or any other kind of person. It could be a man, it could be a woman, about things to do with sex. Sex here I mean the one you understand, maybe a boy and girl or a man and a woman having sexual intercourse. But now sexuality education is to do with talking, it is diverse. It talks about sexuality as a component, a big component, whereby you also talk about all diverse issues related to sexuality. Sexuality here I mean maybe it could be menstruation.
Just break it down. Just like I want you to take the audience right now and me more like the student or the learner you are interfacing with, and then break it down for me that this is sexuality education and this is the information I want you to understand when I talk about sexuality, and this is what I want you to understand when I talk about sex education.
So sexuality education, here we talk about diverse issues related to menstrual hygiene of the learner or the young child or a young boy. Then sex education, unfortunately we are prohibited to be taking to young kids and young boys because they have not yet reached that age, and as we as Jomas, we empower them, we tell them that abstain from sex.
That is right.
And we don't talk about that because according to
on sex education, the campaign stops at abstain
from sex.
And then sexuality
it is diverse. We also talk components like menstruation amongst our young
for
girls.
Example, a teenager is beginning to experience menstrual cycles, and they have challenges, like reports have been coming through across the country about a lack of access to menstruation, to pads. How do you direct such a learner on what to do?
Yeah, and that's why most importantly that we are here. We are here to increase access. Actually, thank you NTV for reaching out to us to spread this gospel to our young people, our parents.
It's an honor.
Our teachers that mentor these young kids. So lack of pads has been an issue, and we as Jomas, we have been trying our helping hand through our own support that we can afford to reach out to these young kids, distribute them. We have done this in schools in Kampala.
You're distributing reusable pads?
Reusable, not the other ones that you use once. Reusable.
Disposable.
Yeah. So we have been distributing reusable pads at schools in Kampala. I don't know if you could be having a picture of how we are teaching young kids, or even
we can't be we won't be running that for this particular discussion, but of course I know somewhere at a certain point or two they will be very good. Now allow me just focus on I don't think it's a curriculum that you have put out. What I know is that it's a set of material that you do roll out, especially in helping learners understand how they react to situations, and that is the core of sexuality education. Traislin, are schools cooperating on this, and if they are, how exactly are they cooperating?
First of all, the issue of patterning with one another, or the issue of capacity building, or the concept of working hand in hand with each and every organization, each and every setting that you are in is pertinent if you want to deliver. As JOMAS, we cannot say that we as JOMAS can do everything and do it right 100%. There are some things we learn from other partners, or there are some things we learn from other spaces. There are some things we learn from reading, or from examples or stories that we listen from society. So through those, we are able to dig out and align our different ideas and concepts to match a suitable plan, or to match a suitable way forward that we feel could be the best. If we do not involve ourselves in decision making as a team, then what we do will not work out, because you find that the implementers of what you actually intend to offer or you intend to give are the same people that should be part of the process as you try to bring out decision-making processes. So if you work it out alone, then on the implementation part of it, you will not make it. And it is not about maybe who says what, but it is about how we come together and ensure that we are able to progress. If it is an issue of gender inequality, is it only a cause that we are saying this is mostly affecting women? If it is an issue of gender-based violence, are we saying it is only women? Or if we are saying it is only women, then who is doing that? Are they women who are fighting each other, or do men have a role to play? So similarly, in the different varieties, we need to come up together, team up, and ensure that we are able to deliver services and deliver a change in society.
Joshua Twinomujuni, how are we speaking to the parent? How are we targeting the information that we need the parent to deliver to the learners and the children?
First of all, I would like to put on this call. In the current setting, most of our parents are trying to look for school fees, they're here and there. Yeah, so they have not yet,
they don't have time to talk.
They have not developed time for their children.
Yeah.
And actually, in this world, someone that wishes you well, first it's your parent, who produces you. So we have found a challenge that even parents have left this role to the teachers. Imagine a child in a primary school, in a secondary school, spends 3 months at home in a year.
In a year, only 3 months at home.
Then the rest of the months, or 9 to 8, they are spent at school. Now here, the school also doesn't focus more on.
The schools have their own issues sometimes, but how does a parent approach sexuality education? How does a parent talk to a child?
Yeah, it's his right or her right to talk to his or her children. But most of them feel shy, they shy away from talking about these issues. For example, if a young girl is going to menstruation and just experienced, she needs guidance, she needs that word from her mother.
That's right.
But some of them, we have found a challenge from the interactions we have with them in schools.
What do they say? They
say that they don't tell them anything. They leave them all those issues to their teachers. And the teachers are also focusing on the syllabus of the Ministry of Education. But now, these contents are also in the Ministry of Education curriculum, but they are focusing on things to do with exams. So we are calling upon that if there is anyone or a school that is seeing me, let's try to also enroll these programs, because if we leave this gap to the teacher, to the parent, and all of them are trying to shift to the other, then we shall not achieve that. We shall have kids that are misinformed, and that's when we shall hear of those issues of teenage pregnancy, like 2019. There was a lot of lack of information, and which led to 26% teenage pregnancy amongst our young girls.
All right. This discussion is very wide, and I'll be hoping that we can interface a little bit more so that we can find time. But very briefly, Treslin, I want you to take us through how you guys are approaching homosexuality and the sexuality debate in schools.
Yes, on the issue of sexuality debates in schools, I think I'd earlier talked about it, that we try to reach out to schools and we are able to phrase questions, phrase debate topics specifically from students, specifically from analyzing on what do these students understand about maybe concerns of homosexuality, or maybe concerns of sexual reproductive and their health and rights. So once you listen from many of them in those schools, you're able to phrase out and identify the challenges that they are going through, and able to see which topic or which debate can actually reduce the stigmatization, or which one can be effective in these schools that we are reaching out to. And then also we as us, we are trying to use our social media pages to ensure that every day we put out literature and information on concerns of sexual and reproductive health.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Treslin Ankunda, youth leader under the aegis of Jomas Foundation for Africa, and of course the team leader Joshua Trinomajuni, for the insight into how strengthening school-based sexual reproductive health education is being rolled out there. We do hope the best efforts can be rewarded, and that the learners, especially the young ones, can be able to understand from an early stage how to deal with the challenges that come with changes and of course progression in sexuality. That will do it for our Take Note discussion, and we shall be stepping into the Kickstarter discussion, overview of corruption and mismanagement of resources in the country. We do hope that of course the mismanagement of resources, some of which effectively go into aspects including sexuality education, can be dealt with so that the young ones can receive the resources and all the information they need on a timely basis.